Hello and welcome to another modelling video. Today I'm going to title this video the Gogg experiment because I'm going to take the 80s re-release 1:144 Gogg and try a few experiments with him. First, his articulation and limb joints are very poor, so I'm going to replace that with magnets. It's going to make it very easy to pull apart for painting, and his articulation will be a lot better. The technique is extremely easy with rare earth magnets. Second, after being inspired by the new Dr. Cranky YouTube channel, I'm going to be experimenting with airbrushing templates and do a template colour scheme on this kit. The third experiment involves hand painting with lacquers. As you saw, I failed this in the AIRBRUSHING video and have since bought mild retardant by Gundam. So we'll also have a quick look at that. This is the kit in question. You'll notice within the box is 3 tanned yellow coloured sprues. This is not a snap kit, so you will have to physically glue every piece together, and there's a very ugly seam line right around the body of it. You'll also notice there's no poly cap, so all articulated joints are those little fiddly plastic bits, which is fairly complex and difficult to follow via the instructions. Also, a lot of putty work is required, and even worse, the kit does not come apart for painting, which would make hand painting or airbrushing extremely hard and a lot of masking involved. I'm going to combat my first issue with magnets. I don't have a video of me doing this as it was an experiment, but I glued magnets at each point of articulation for the arms and legs on the inside of the wall of the plastic and on the swivel point on top of the arms. This was a mistake as there wasn't a lot of strength in between the plastic, so I put a magnet on the outside to strengthen it quite a bit. You'll notice to your left, all the first magnets I played with were standard very fat ones I found at a hardware store. They were quite expensive and not very efficient. I have not used them in modelling yet. The skinny 1mm by 5mm discs are rare earth magnets, which can be found on eBay very cheaply, and if you're willing to wait for slow shipping from Hong Kong, you can buy 100 for $10. I plan on incorporating magnets in my style of modelling a lot more often after this experiment, and I've learned by my mistakes. Because this is a buggy video, I asked not to take this as a tutorial. I'm also inspiration on how to incorporate it in your modelling if you do choose so. I think these are fantastic in either stringing models apart for easy pulling apart and greater articulation, or even better, the placement and removal of accessories, a lot like a toy. A quick review of the Mr. Mild retardant. I added a few drops in my airbrush cup using what I've had trouble with, the Mr. Hobby Gundam colours. And when I sprayed it on this Gogg and the stencils, I did not have any of that stringy effect I had on the Aerios. On top of that, when I was hand painting and also adding a few drops, I got a very nice flat finish with no brush strokes, and the colours were quite vibrant. Remember, this product is only compatible with lacquer paint and also requires lacquer thinner mixed in it as well. With the building and paint issues out of the way, I'm willing to dash out and completely experiment with airbrushing templates or stencils. I received this advice from the tutorials by Dr. Cranky. I think his channel's Cranky666. It's a signature part of his style for his model cars, and I very much wanted to try to do it on my own Gundam kits. I'll link his initial template tutorial below this video. A template is a temporarily non-stick mask, and you place it in front of your model piece. Make sure to support your model piece on as a flat surface so it won't be moving, and hold your template as steady as humanly possible not to get a fuzzy effect if you want a clean cut image. I lightly dust on the paint and I get an okay effect. Unfortunately, this model doesn't have a lot of smooth surfaces, so I wasn't able to get sharp edges all around. So I kind of call it, with this one-off shot, a tribal camouflage scheme. Again, this is just an experiment. If you do like to learn how to do these techniques absolutely properly, I do recommend the tutorial down below. I bought these templates off eBay. They can get a slightly bit costly, and you should be able to cut your own out of a very thin plastic if you do wish. With a little effect hand painting, weathering, inking, decals and a filter, this is the finished result from my quirky experiments. I'm kind of extremely surprised that it did come out display worthy, as this was only a $3 kit that I picked up in Tokyo on special. When you do your experiments, it's best idea to do it on a scrap piece of sheet or a scrap toy. I like to play around with extremely cheap old model kits. To me, with this tribal colour scheme I had going, you'd want to deploy it somewhere around the Polynesian Islands or New Zealand. I had an absolute lot of fun with this, and you seriously don't know what you're missing out on if you're not doing blind experiments and just seeing how far you can push your modelling. Really, the world's your oyster when you're willing to bash out and do whatever the hell you want. Being a marine suit, I also applied a bit of rust around the edges for depth, and just a quick experiment I didn't mention, I caked a little too much matte varnish on top of the head where it frosted up and cut it back a bit with some thinner. Looks like salt deposits. Now to the gimmicks of the kit with the magnets. I'm having a little play around with the legs and the arms, and you're able to see how they separate easily and come back together for transportation or painting, and the range of articulation's a lot greater and there's no chance of it breaking, unlike the old plastic brittle joints. Thank you for watching, and until next time. Also another shout out and thank you to Dr. Cranky for his awesome tutorial and inspiration on airbrushing with stencils. Hope you guys had as much fun as I had.